Hey, what's going on, guys? Tubasa back with another episode, and I just want to talk about my week. Again, this is one of those off scripted entries. So, this week was a big week for me for a lot of reasons. Let's get the first one out of the way because you guys have maybe seen it in my post. I am the number 3 catalyst on Xbox for Apex Legends. For those of you who don't know, Apex Legends is a battle royale video game in which there are different characters that have specific abilities, and I just so happen to have become third overall on Xbox for that specific character. What I didn't know right after I posted that is I am actually number 2 in the US on all platforms. So on any platform given, I am number 2 for wins, and the only person ahead of me is, funnily enough, also on Xbox. And I'm contemplating whether or not I want to grind it out and get past him because he has about double the amount of wins I have, and the amount of wins it took me to even get there is like a year and a half. So I'd have to spend another year and a half to get close to where this person is. I'm contemplating it because I'll be doing my master's, and assuming that I have a relative couple of hours per day, I should be able to get it done, unless if, I get a girlfriend and a social life. So it all depends on what happens. If I find a girlfriend, I'll prioritize my girlfriend over anything. Second thing of the day, of the week, is that today I had to wake up at 6 a.m. to do a special project piece for my capstone, which is like my final end-all be-all class where we incorporate everything from all the previous classes. And that was pretty fun. Only issue is that I didn't fall asleep that quickly because my roommate was doing laundry, and I thought I'd be able to fall asleep relatively quickly because I'm not too sensitive to noises, but I think my mind was just a little bit anxious about that morning and what was going to happen. Luckily, the time that we had to work on this project piece, we had to come up with a price for a building, and we actually came relatively closer than most other groups, which is great. On another note, I've been talking to one of my students, which I honestly think is as a friend at this point. Like, me and him are like I say the exact same person, but we're different in our own ways. He does a lot more PC stuff, and I stick to my Xbox. But our main connection is through how many memes and internet references we know. On top of that, it's also music. We're into some similar music, and I've listened to some recommendations of his. And I hope he's listening right now to some of the recommendations that I've given him, but who knows. So I'm glad that I was able to talk to him because it's like one of the first times I've ever had someone be as into the internet as I am, which is weird to say because I reply to everyone's comments, and I would think those people are on the internet quite a lot. But you never know. You guys might only be on for a couple hours a day while I'm literally watching like throughout my entire day, just like some YouTube video. Unless I'm working on stuff. Albums, music that I've listened to this week. This comes from a recommendation from one of my students, the one mentioned in the prior part of this video. He recommended me Delton 3030, which is honestly pretty good. I really do enjoy it. It's one that I personally will be playing in the background when I'm working on things because I don't think I'll be able to memorize all the raps and rhymes of each of the songs. So I think that's perfectly fine, and it helps me expand that repertoire of passive music to listen to, because listening to King Crimson every single time I'm grading kind of makes me lose my mind a little bit at a certain point once I listen to like their fifth or fourth album. So I'm glad I can listen to some rap that also tells a story. Another one that I need to check my phone, but another one that I listened to today that was very, very interesting was Nail by Scraping Fetus Off the Wheel. Very creative name. It's very industrial percussion wise. It's a lot of banging metals and scrapping. I'm personally indifferent right now about it. I really like the music and the beats and where it goes because it sounds 80s, but it came out in 2010. My only issue is that it talks about the devil and whatnot, and I'm not really a huge fan of when that stuff's brought up, unless if we're talking about banishing or killing the devil and putting him back in hell. Because personally, for me, I'm Catholic, and for me, it's just like I don't know, it's a bad presence whenever I hear the word. I get this weird feeling inside of me. Besides that, the rest of my week was mainly fine. I took a quiz on something, which I did okay, and I'm particularly hard on myself when it comes to grades, because I've always been like the A student and everything, but I got a 88, which is a B plus, which averaged my overall grade in that class out to a 90, which for some reason it says it's a B plus and not an A minus, but GPA wise it doesn't matter. And really, I don't care because, again, my whole goal this semester is to just pass. So, we're getting there. Finally, one of the most biggest things ever is that I finally got a letter of acceptance for my master's degree, which is huge because that means I know what I'm doing next year with my life, and also over the summer once that contract gets fixed. They had some date issues with it. I wanted to start in the summer, but they had set the contract for starting in the fall, so I'm just asking, hey, can I work before? Which it should work out. And I'm excited. I finally actually get to put my engineering skills to the test and have in my opinion, like a real job that requires my degree, that requires my learning that I've learned for over the past 4 years. I finally get to use that stuff in real life to get paid. Crazy. It's a little bit exciting, I'm not gonna lie. I'm so excited for graduation to come around and to actually start work and then think of something to do research on, because there's a lot of things that I could do research on, but I'm having a hard time thinking of exactly what I'm into and what I want to do. Finally, the last thing, I don't know what order I'm going in here, but the actual last thing, because I like to ramble, but I really need to cut myself short so I can go to bed, because my dad had proposed that him and I make bread, like homemade bread, tomorrow, and I agreed to it because I like bread and I like to make bread. But I finished my album Pastime, which the end song, the final song, turned out to be a little bit of a remake of one of the songs in the previous album, Discovery. And funnily enough, I think that part was also the last song. So it's finally over. There's a piece of it that I took, used it in this new song. I'm not going to tell you yet. It comes out on the 21st is when the last song drops. But before then, the songs will be releasing like every day. But the way that I constructed it and the way that this final song ends is so good, in my opinion. It is by far like one of the best pieces that I've made, because it includes a lot of stuff that I used and just kind of fiddled with on the keyboard when I was in high school. And I'm so glad I finally figured out where I want to put it in an actual piece of art. And I've figured out how to transition from one of the fragments to another. And the transition, in my opinion, is so great because of how weird and unexpected the chord progression is. and just how it worked. I don't know how it happened, but God just decided to bless me with this, idea of like, oh, instead of going a half step lower, let's go a half step higher. And then I figured out the rest from there, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a transition into this other fragment that I've had in the back of my head for so long. So I'm so glad I got to be able to use that and finish the final song. And when making it, I wanted it to end on a more positive note, because a lot of my songs, I feel like they kind of start and end in the same spot, and they're always constantly looping or loopable, and or they are kind of more somber, melancholy, or negative in tone, besides maybe a few songs. And so I wanted to make sure that I ended this one on a more high note, because I feel like this week compared to last week is me really getting into more of that positive mindset and of taking accountability of my impatience and working on it. So I really wanted this wrap up to be very positive because of that, just because of how I personally feel, which I think is interesting, because I made more sad songs when I felt sad, but I made more hopeful songs when I became positive. Or at least that's how I feel about it. You guys can let me know what you guys think about that song when it drops. It'll drop on the 21st of March. But before that, every day before, again, there's going to be a song coming out. So I highly recommend that you please go and listen to those when they do drop, and make sure you subscribe. I like making music personally because it's just something I've always done since I was young. And for me, this is my outlet to bring experiments and samples and whatnot out there that I've had in the back of my head. And what's funny is, and the reason why I'm doing this too, is because there's sometimes where my own ideas end up becoming ideas of other people too, like actual composers who make music for movies. For example, in the movie Harriet, where it goes over Harriet Tubman's life, the main theme is a theme that I created in my own personal space, like months before it came out. And I even knew about it. Like, I didn't even, when I watched it for the very first time, I was like, holy crap, I've had this exact same melody in my head where it goes, da 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 na 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 ba da 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 and then it would just kind of keep looping, having small variations. But that melody was literally used in that movie, and I was like, holy crap, I should probably start posting my ideas that way. If, someone comes out with something, I could maybe say, hey, look, I have this sample here that I've created this, long ago, and I believe that you have taken inspiration from it. I don't think I'd ask for money, because there are a lot of times where that happens, but depending on how close and accurate it is to my own piece, I feel like there could be potential claims. I'd have to see a lawyer, which costs money. Would I really want to do that? I don't know. Main point being is, if someone's going to use any of like my samples or music, I do ask that I'm just like credited, and maybe if you are willing to please partition out any piece of money. I don't know how actually sampling works, so it might be that you just don't get anything besides credit, which honestly is fine, because it brings attention to my own content, and I should be grateful for that. So I'll leave it at that. Anyhow, I'm going to go to bed because I need to. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night because I was anxious and then I had to wake up early. So, with that being said, I hope you guys have a good weekend. I'm on spring break now, so expect video output to maybe go up. I say maybe. There's a couple things I need to work on. I need to work on finishing the jacket with my grandma, and I'll make a video on that and show my jacket off because I like the design. I think it's cool. But I might make videos on some other things, progress updates. Run. I've started running too, which has helped me think a lot more positively. So I might talk about different ways to like work out or something. I think that would be pretty cool. But yeah. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Peace.